What is up, crap stains? JJ back here from Run Pure Bets with Mangone. Talking some PGA for Thursday, August the 13th. Coming off a big week here, Mangone. Well, let me rephrase. You are coming off a big week. You want to remind the folks who you had last week?
Yeah, I mean, I had Colin Morikawa to win. So people were making fun of me, saying I heard that you were carrying the this show, and I was like, man, like I got to come out with a winner this week. And I said it on the show. I said winners win, and we're gonna win this week. So and we won. So JJ, I got no complaints. We're looking good this week, and we're trying to go back to back, right? Everyone, they want to get the winner. Who doesn't want to go back to back, JJ? It's the best feeling.
Yeah, of course. And I think that so this is twice now you've won with the Morikawa calls. Some would call you a homer. But look, I mean, winners win. And it's been incredible. What an incredible showing from him too, especially late up against the pack. It was a real tight squeeze, especially up until the last 2 or 3 holes. But look, all the power to him. Just a great round of golf from Morikawa. Now here, we'll quickly recap last week. So I actually had my first losing week on these vids. I dropped Rory top 20 minus 120, and I dropped Cantley half unit in a group bet plus 350. So I dropped 1.7, and if you include my outrights, 2.2 units for me. But Mangone picked it up last week. Morikawa to win his group for a half unit at plus 300. That's a unit and a half. Morikawa top 20 for a half unit. That's another half unit. Total of 2 units. And then Morikawa 33-1 for 0.2 units. That's good for 6.5, a little over 6.5 units in the plus there. Overall, looks like we pick up together with you doing the heavy lifting. A little about 7.5 units, man, going for you. For us, puts us over 10 units for these shows. Actually, maybe over 12 units for these shows. But either way, it's been a good run. We're excited for this course, even though this course is definitely not going to be as enticing as the last one. But what is your take, man, going at least on the cuff, going into this round of golf right after a big major?
Yeah, so we've seen this before, right? We had like a big event, and then we went to a event where there weren't as many guys. We saw all those like top guys or quote unquote top guys, like when Lucas Glover was really high priced on DK. He was the guy that absolutely did terrible, right? You can see some major hangover from some of these stars at the top. That's definitely possible, but I'm not too worried about it. This is a birdie fest, though. That's the big thing about this event, right? We saw last week what Morikawa went with. We saw people floating around 10 under on Sunday. At one point, there was like 7 dudes tied at that towards the end. You're not going to see that here. You're going to see guys at like 20 under. You're going to see like 18 under. It's going to be one of those classic birdie fests, kind of like the Rocket Mortgage Classic that we've seen. So, yeah, I expect a lot of points to be scored, a lot of birdies to be had. And if your guys going backwards to start off the day, like day one, that's going to be a problem. Definitely need your guys putting up buckets throughout the whole time.
What do you think, at least in prior years, man, what wins this tournament? When you say it's a birdie fest, like, are we talking high 20s wins this tournament?
Yeah. I just said it before. It's like 18 under, 20 under. We're going to see somewhere around there. You'll see guys at 15 under, 16 under. So if your guy's not putting up, a big round, if you don't have like one of those, low rounds, you're probably not going to be competing. So definitely have to be putting up a ton of, low par rounds.
So now for me, with this, are you still taking your same typical approach? I know you like tee to green, right? Your big stat. Because I know. What's putting like at this course versus the last week for the championship?
Yeah, so tee green is always great. It just shows like a sample size of like basically their entire game of what they're doing, and it can help with their like recent form as well. But basically this week, I would say putting is really important here. If you look at like the last guys that have won, their putting stats have been something you look at a ton. Approach as well. I'm obviously going to look at approach, all the accuracy, but yeah, I'm looking at kind of just guys that strike the ball well, are really good on approach game. You don't have to be super long off the tee. We talked about last week how being long off the tee would be important, but if you were accurate, you'd still be okay. And Morikawa was perfectly fine because he, crushed it in the putting department, and he was still pretty accurate, as you saw his, shot that he nailed on the pin. So I'm not worrying about having some. Yeah, that was a great one. If you're watching that was fun. But I'm not worried about guys that need to drive it super far. That's where like a guy like Webb Simpson, who's like a heavy favorite, comes into play. And these greens line up pretty well for him. He's definitely like a favorite that people are talking up a ton. But putting has definitely been something like you need to be a good putter here, it seems like. So I'm definitely targeting that in some of the stats I'm doing, which is typically not something I do.
I'm so tilted at Rory. Like, this dude just can't get it together. Like I thought if there was, and I guess the same thing could have been said about Brooksy, right? Like if there was a tournament where maybe Rory kind of gets everything moving in the right direction, that would have been it. He had quite a few holes where it was like, uh-oh, here we go. Rory's got that hop in his step, birdied 4 holes in a row, and then just, I think he had like an 8 on a par 4 to just lose everything he just worked for. Either way, just tilting. But this week, obviously, new week, new me. Hoping to bounce back here after hitting quite a few winners in a row. I think it was like seven in a row before that last one. So this time around, and Mangone's kind of an agreement here. So Ryan Moore is a guy I want to target for this tournament. Seeing a top 20 bet for him at plus 188 on DraftKings. I know a lot of you guys can't get top 20s, but if you can, that is a juicy price. I'm going to do that for a half unit and hope to pick up nearly a full unit there. So that's my goal with Ryan Moore. Now, I also like Ryan Moore in any matchups he'll be against. Now, I say that because ultimately, for the most part, they match you up against guys that are relative to the player. So, like, for instance, on DraftKings, I see him matched up against Sanjay Im. I definitely prefer Ryan Moore there, minus 110 for the tournament. So, yeah, ultimately, any matchup with Ryan Moore, and I like top 20. So, going to be a full unit on his matchup against Sanjay, and then half unit on the top 20. Plus 188, and again, that was on DraftKings in New Jersey. Now, Mangone, what do you like? You're the hot guy coming in.
Yeah, so I like Ryan Moore just kind of like you. I thought he was a really, really good play this week. I'm sure in DFS will have some. I'm definitely gonna put some bets on him as well. But yeah, first up, I'm gonna talk about Patrick Reed. I get it, right? Webb Simpson's the guy. If I said JJ, like there's one guy like with my life on the line this week, like he has to win, like I'd probably pick him. He's like the favorite, but I'm not doing that, right? I'm looking for some type of value, and I can get Patrick Reed at plus 17. I think there's still some value on that number. I'm going to go with Patrick Reed. He's been playing really well. He's like a top 10 machine. If you look at him this year, he's been crushing it in that department, and he's been knocking on the door. He's been pretty good. So, Patrick Reed is going to be the guy that I go to I'm going to do plus 100 on him to get the top 20. So we're going to do that for 0.75 units. And then we're going to do another 0.75 units on a top 20 bet. And if Big T was here, he was here with us last week, he would be loving this pick, right? He would be eating this up. The Patrick Reed pick, he would probably make fun of me. I don't think he's a Patrick Reed guy, but he'd be all over the Billy Ho train. I mean, he's a Billy Ho truther. This is his preferred putting surface. Everything lines up really well for him here in this spot. All the odds look good on him too. I like him at plus 175. He's been playing good golf. So yeah, Billy Ho is a guy that I'm definitely going to be going to. I like that as the top 20 bet. I think those two guys are going to be strong guys with some pretty high upside here at this event. So Billy Ho and Patrick Reed are going to be the two guys I go to. We're putting 0.75 units on each, so that's 1.5 units there on those. And I'm not going to do any like tournament, matchups or anything. I haven't found anything that I love, and I just don't want to, go all in or anything, and push in the money that we've won, I guess I should say, or the units.
It's not that type of course, right? I mean, ultimately, it's obviously a kind of like a hangover course, if you will, from a betting perspective, in terms of what we got last week.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm just going to do those, those 1.5 units. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't want to be like, having 1,000 bets in there. And that's kind of where I'm at. I like those two guys top 20. And I love your Ryan Moore pick. That was one guy I kind of had on my list before we kind of got together. And I just wanted to see if we have the same one, because we had the Cantlay were similar and English. So it's good to see we're in the same company. And last week we weren't, and you lost. So, now this week it's going to win. Winners win. You'll bounce back.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. And you're forgetting about Xander the week before that. We kind of, I kind of snagged that bet from you. So, or snagged it from you. So yeah, I think it's good for us to be on the same page, and hopeful for Ryan Moore to get a good weekend out of him here. Now, somebody asked in the chat, going about Brendan Todd. He's been a player that's been quite interesting, right? He seems like he's like always there, but like just when it comes down to Sundays, it's almost like he just kind of slowly fades away. What's your take on this tournament with the field a little less strong? And do you think there's any value for him? I think they were saying 40-1.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I can't do Brendan Todd 40-1. I'm sorry. Like, there's just better value bets, I would say. But I will argue, man, like, he fits this course well. He's a good putter. The putting matches up. The accuracy's been there. Everything he's been doing makes a ton of sense. If you want to ride the hot hand, if you've been betting, Brendan Todd, if you play DFS and you've been playing Brendan Todd and you want to keep playing him, I wouldn't argue against it, but I just don't think there's value on a 40-1 number on Brendan Todd of all people. Like, there's just better guys I go to. Like, I'd have more faith in, Joaquin Neiman, who's a longer shot. I'd rather just take Billy Ho at, 40-1 or 30-1 instead. I just don't love the value on Todd, but I get it. Like, he's been so good, it's hard to, argue it.
Now, the one other thing I'll say, so Brooks is in this tournament, and what do you think about that? Like a guy that really gets up for majors, is he really for me, like if I'm DFS, like I wouldn't want any part of him. I wouldn't want any part of him betting wise. Like, doesn't this just seem like a tournament he's going to want nothing to do? Why would he even enter?
Yeah, so the thing about Brooks is I think he's in the FedEx Cup standings, and I'd have to look it up. He was definitely struggling before. Obviously, last week I'm sure he gained enough points where he's perfectly fine, but he was on the outside looking in. So I'm sure he's still looking to get some points to kind of protect himself, because what they do is with the FedEx Cup standings, they cut it down from 125 to 75. It just keeps going down, down, down. So I think he wants to give himself some more breathing room. I don't think Brooks is going to go out there and be like, yeah, he's going all out to win it. Like if he gets like a top 5 or top 10, he'd be perfectly fine with it. Probably just enjoying himself and, just trying to get some more points. I'm sure if he wins, great. I just can't bet him. I'm sorry. There's no reason to bet him here. We talked about betting him at majors. I can see him not caring as much and just doing it for the points and just kind of coasting on Saturday, Sunday.
Now, is there any last notes maybe for this tournament, Mangone, that you might have? Maybe like a target, say somebody gets off to a big lead or somebody starts from the back. Is there any type of live targeting you might be looking for from Thursday to Friday? Is weather going to be a factor if you're aware of it? I don't know, because obviously we know wind obviously has its impact, but any of those concerns, I guess last minute concerns, I'll call them?
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I don't look at weather till Wednesday, mainly because it's it's weather. I just, who knows, it can change so much. So I haven't looked at a ton of weather. Don't know if anyone's boots on the ground there either. I can ask, but not something I'm too worried about. Live betting wise, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Obviously, if you think a good golfer, let's say a good golfer makes the cut on the number, don't be afraid to maybe fire with them if you think Saturday they could have a good shot. I wouldn't mind that, but I'm probably not live betting until guys make the cut and look at that. I'm not gonna put in this live bet on a guy who gets down early. The problem I'll say with that is if you get down early at this tournament, you're probably buried. This is just a birdie fest, right? It's gonna be hard to make that up. If the target score is 20 under and you start out 2 over, man, now you have to shoot minus 22 the rest of the way, and that's including avoiding bogeys throughout. That's just tough. So my personal opinion, I'll wait till live betting till the weekend.
You think we're looking at a cut line of 5 or 6 under here?
Yeah, you could see that. I mean, these golfers also aren't the most talented compared to normal, so I could see maybe being 4 or 3 under. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if you see on the start of Saturday there's a guy at 12 under, and then there's guys at 4 under, 3 under. Or even 4 under, 5 under. That's what I'm thinking it's going to kind of be around.
Awesome. Yeah. So to recap, we're both pretty bullish on Ryan Moore. I've got my own bets there. We'll take one more question. So Cole's asking about Justin Rose. Now, I have my own personal opinions there, but what do you think, Mangone?
All right. So it's funny, as I was going through trying to figure out guys to bet, I thought Justin Rose was in the conversation as a guy to maybe take a shot on. I have the odds up right here. Let me see what we have exactly on him right now. He is 22 to 1. And again, I wasn't trying to go to Webb because again, he's 11 to 1. And I just felt like it was a little too short. We talked about with Bryson at that one event, and I know he won. I totally get it, but I know Webb's the favorite. I just think I don't want to go to him. If I'm looking at a guy like Justin Rose, he's 22 to 1 at he's been 22 to 1 at events this year that have been way more lower than this. So you can argue Justin Rose isn't a bad option. He played pretty well. And the one thing he did do before the major, he said he took the week off. I think it was the 3M. He said he wasn't playing that event. And the reason why he didn't is he just wanted to get right. He wanted to get his iron game right. It wasn't good. And it's been better. So I don't hate that. If you want to take a shot on it, he's not a guy who would be putting in a matchup bet. He's not a guy who'd be putting in a make the cut bet or a make the cut parlay. I'd be taking him in bets to get top 5 or to win because of the upside that he has. Because if he's right, he could easily crush here. So that's where I would look at him. Again, not one of the guys that I'm going to, but if you want to, that's how I would bet him.
Awesome. Yeah. So guys, like I said, we're high on Ryan Moore. Mangone hooked you up with a few fun outrights.
I haven't given the outrights yet, so I should give the outrights.
Oh yeah. Excuse me.
I mean, listen, what am I not giving the outrights? I got to bounce back. Not bounce back. I got to, keep the heater going, right? We got one in a row.
You got a parlay. I almost cut you short. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know, right? Let's talk about those right now. So when we kind of went in talking, JJ, you talked about liking Ryan Moore, and I was like, Do you want to do your own outrights? And we just conclusion, we'll just put him on the outrights because I liked him, you liked him. I thought about actually making an outright bet on him, so I was perfectly fine with that. So we're going to do 0.75 units, okay? We got 4 golfers here. We're going to do 0.2 on Ryan Moore at 35-1 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get that there. Again, we talked about him a ton. We don't have to go over it again. Billy Horschel, talked about him again, 30-1. I'm going to take him. I think he's in a really good spot here. I've seen him at like 40-1 at other places. I just think there's a really good value on him here in this spot. His preferred putting surface as well. Just everything lines up for him. Again, Pat Reed, another guy we talked about. Like I said, putting super important here, and he's like really been really good at putting. If you look last 50 rounds, he's like the 3rd best putter. Everything lines up. I think he can be great. So we're going to take him at 17-1 over on DK. I like getting that type of value. If you see him at like, a 10-1, of course, I wouldn't want that. But I like how we can get a little bit of value there with Patrick Reed. And then that was for 0.25 units. So that gives us that 0.65 altogether. We had 0.2 on Moore, 0.2 on Horschel, 0.25 on Patrick Reed. And the last one is like a longer shot, right? Obviously, long shots are fun. You want to put a little bit on it, I think. And we're going to put 0.1 on Maverick McNeely, especially on this field, right? Like you could see a real random winner pop up here. And Maverick McNeely, he can putt. His approach game can be a little dicey at times. That's my one fear, but he's a guy that can definitely hit the ball pretty well. And when he can get rolling, you have to like him. And here's another thing. This is a little narrative-driven, JJ, but winners win, right? Winners win, JJ. Winners win. And, Maverick McNeely's girlfriend, she's a winner. Her name's Danielle Kang. She's won the last 2 LPGA events. You're telling me, listen, Danielle's came home with 2 trophies. Maverick's got to be kicking himself, right? And he just played pretty well at the Barracuda recently. So Mr. McNeely at 90-1, I think if we're looking for a long shot to get this thing done, Danielle Kang is going to make sure he wins an event or he sleeps on the couch. So Mr. McNeely is going to be a winner here. 0.1 units at 90-1.
Now that's an interesting take, and I love how you're like, because she's winning, that's gonna fall into his lap. And I tell you what, it's not a crazy thing to think. Obviously, he's going to be extra motivated. Who wants to be continued to be upstaged in anything by their significant other, or maybe at least it parlays into his success as well. So ultimately, that's an interesting note for sure, though, from you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, JJ. Like, if you're surrounded by someone who's like, miserable and like tilting, like, like you might be miserable and tilt too, right? Like, you might not be in a good mood. But if someone's like uplifting and upbeat, like, that energy might be contagious. So let's give Maverick McNeely a shot. He played well at I tell you, he played well at the Barracuda, and maybe it just bounces back in here. And this course fits him compared to other courses. So I like the chance we're going to take on it.
Love the call. Love it. Okay, so to recap, Mangone's got Pat Reed top 20 plus 100, Billy Ho top 20 plus 175, 0.75 units each there. I'm a full unit on Ryan Moore versus Sanjay Im, or any matchups that he has in his neighborhood. I know Bristol had just said that he's got him against Ches Reavie, which I'm fine with as well. And I'm also on half unit Ryan Moore top 20 at plus 188. You might be able to get plus 200 at your book as well. And then the outrights we just discussed as well. So look, guys, thanks for hanging out with us and asking some questions. Other than that, I think we're all good here, Mangone. Let's hope to have you parlay this again with another winner. Could you imagine back to back? That'd be sweet. But other than that, I'm trying to think of what shows we have coming up this week. There's probably going to be that minimum a Thursday preview show with me and Holden. Friday will be a UFC fighter show with Jay and Joey, and then a live show Saturday, Sunday. So definitely a weekend full of good content here. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. As always, bet and stay within your means. And look, stay safe, guys.